Welcome to the Newtown Big Dreams podcast, an interview-style talk show that's your gateway to the fabulous and fascinating people who relocated to start a new life. Whether you're new to our podcast or your city, our fellow neighbors from across Canada, North America, and the entire English-speaking world share their stories of reaching new horizons and big dreams. So sit back and relax as we navigate in-depth and intimate conversations with entrepreneurs, thought leaders, executives, creatives, and anyone who can share their story about their Newtown big dreams. And now, here's your host, Luke J. Menkes.
Well, Scott, it's great to meet you. It's great to see you today.
Thanks, Luke.
We're going to talk a lot about cooking and foods and your love of food. And you brought me some treats, which I've asked you to keep as a surprise. I don't know what's in that bag, but I'm really excited.
It's my magic bag of tricks right there.
Right? And you came to Kelowna in the early 2000s, 2000 to 2003.
I was chasing schools. So when OUC finished up in Vernon, I moved out to Kelowna, finished sociology of food at UBCO, and then just found my roots here. I've lived all over BC, moved 24 times before I was 18 years old.
Wow.
And so I've settled down in Kelowna and have lived in the same house for 10 years now. I've never lived in one place that long. So it's good to call this home. I've never felt anywhere more at home than in Kelowna.
Really? How did you discover the city? Like, what made you come here?
Well, like gypsy parents moving me around all the time,
Yeah.
we just eventually ended up in the Okanagan Valley and then migrating this direction. I don't know, maybe I've always just been pulled to this direction of the valley, but...
Yeah. So was it like a total accident or...
Total accident. I followed school. I ended up here living in a little carriage house with my my girlfriend at the time. We had been together for maybe 8 years before we moved to Kelowna.
Right.
Quickly became married soon after that. So
Right.
we're going on 20 years next year. We've been together. It's beautiful. Married now. Yeah.
Really? So you must have been like 12 when you first met.
I'm not that young, but I appreciate it. That's good. No, but definitely Scott high school sweethearts.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
And you've got children.
2 kids.
Both born here.
Both born in Kelowna, and they love it. Yeah, my boy's 5, Morrison. He's a rad little dude, adventurer, wants to get out and about in our lovely landscape. And my daughter's 9. She's Elowen. She's a dancer, and just brilliant kids.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kids are awesome.
They are. They sure are.
So great. So have you always been into food and cooking?
Yeah, food is like all my earliest memories are attached to food. I think my earliest memory in this world is being 3 years old climbing up to a table full of like a lobster dinner.
Wow.
With some of our friends from the coast coming up.
And what do you remember about that incident? Was it just super delicious or?
No, I just remember reaching up to this table with lobster claws on it. But I mean, some of the earlier memories again are crawling underneath a grandma's cutting board, one of those big butcher block tables, and hearing the knife chop, chop, chop on top. That's some of my earliest memories. So yeah, grandma was my guru.
The smells, the tastes.
And that's just it. Yeah. Growing up in grandma's kitchen, she never taught you how to cook. She just made you smell and taste everything. And so you just had to watch and observe and then kind of slowly download it through osmosis and create your own way.
Yeah. How old were you when Grandma said, here, help me out with this?
I was probably maybe like 5 or 6 years old when she started to get me shucking corn or shucking peas, doing those little easy tasks. But I was always that kid in the kitchen that was like, what can I cut? Give me something to cut. Let me chop it up. So I've always been fascinated with nice knives.
Right.
Yeah, right.
We, just out of caution, because we're always, afraid a kid's going to do something. So we started with the cheese grater. Because it's a little bit safe. You can still get hurt.
It'll bite you pretty good anyway.
You're not going to lose a finger, most likely, right? So what kind of stuff did your grandma make?
Grandma was like that good home style stuff, right? And that's what I've kind of come back to in this era of my cooking is it's those things that our grandmas, that our moms created with lots of love in it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't necessarily the prettiest on the plate, but that love infused into food. Right. It just has this like rustic beauty.
Was it a lot of meat and potatoes?
Yeah, but again, like world inspired. Grandma was always trying new dishes, definitely my first introduction to avocados and pomegranates through Grandma. Those strange ingredients that you never knew growing up. Mm-hmm. But yeah, lots of those familiars. She was a pickler, did a lot of ferments and a lot of canning, and so that's really come down through my bloodline for sure.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what actually brought to share with you today. A little bit of the preserves.
Oh,
I am a
wonderful.
preserver.
Let's see.
Okay, so let's see here. I brought you some of my fiery scapes. So these are pickled garlic scapes, some from my garden and some from my friend Matthew's garden at Morning Dove. Garlic scapes are that like top flowering part of the plant. So not the bulb, but that little curly Q at the top.
They look like green beans.
Kind of like green beans, but they're going to be like super garlicky. These ones have a few chilies in there as well. So they are like hot fire.
Right.
Absolutely killer on a Caesar though. Add that little garnish to your Caesar. It's
would you have one by itself, or
Oh,
is
yeah.
it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Should I try one?
You by all means jump right in, but they've got some heat to them.
Okay. Thanks for the warning.
Yeah, for sure.
I do like spicy stuff, but what would you say, like compared to hot wings at a pub?
Oh, they're hot wing level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every year I change how many chilies end up in there. Sometimes you're gonna get 2 chilies. Sometimes you're gonna get 7 chilies. So this year I think these were about a 5 chili.
Right.
5 chili, 5 alarm fire.
Right. And how long has this been sitting in the jar?
These have been canning since last season. So
Okay.
pickles need a good 3 months to mature in the jar, but these ones have been sitting since last season. So I'll be getting ready to pickle my next batch next week, actually.
Nice. So a good airtight jar. You can keep it for what, years?
1 year is the magical number, but it's up to 2 until you start to lose color and flavor. But you're going to feel some heat build on you now. So good little tart tang in the beginning, and then that heat kind of creeps up at the end, and then you're like, "Ooh, did I get the hiccups from this one?"
That is delicious.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely delicious. Yeah, and very spicy.
Yeah, very spicy.
hot.
Yeah, I like a little fire. Fire is a good balance. So flavor's all about hitting all those notes. You want some sweet, some sour, little bitter notes. Good acid, salt, but then you want that spice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something about the aging process. So it takes really 3 months to
3 months to
develop.
really soften it up. Pickles can go 2 ways. You can do pickles in a jar, and you're going to make your brine a little lighter. You want that one to have standard pickling recipes because you want a safe pH so it can sit on the shelf for a year, right? Okay. And so those ones you need to follow those classic grandma-proven recipes for anything that you're preserving in a jar for the shelf. But when it comes to fridge pickles, the sky's the limit. You can pickle whatever you want in the fridge because you don't have to worry about it sitting on a shelf. Shelf stability isn't an issue.
I see.
Those pickles will also last for a year, but you got to leave them in your fridge. So I've been making a ton of fridge pickles lately.
So you must have a separate fridge.
My pickle fridge?
Yeah.
Yeah, my pickle
Aside
fridge.
from the grocery fridge.
I do, yeah. And so the pickle fridge often encroaches on the grocery fridge. I open my fridge and there's barely any room to put any food in there.
Right.
It's always full,
What
but
does
it's
your wife
always
think?
empty.
Your wife's happy with it?
She's happy with good food flowing, but I think she'd prefer that all the pickles stayed in the pickle fridge.
Yeah.
I definitely, it can get out of control sometimes.
You're trying to find the milk or whatever.
That's it.
You're like digging through.
There's some mustard and there's some homemade vinegar and a hot sauce and a lot of condiments, but where are you going to find room to put the fruit, right?
Right. I'm going to have another one.
Yeah, cool. That sounds good. Sounds good.
And what else have we got here?
Okay, so next one in here, I'm a fermenter as well, so a little bit different than pickles. Fermented foods are really harnessing that like probiotic magic. So I just wrote this really cool article for Okanagan Life magazine talking about fermentation, fermented foods. It's been something that we've been doing for generations. Before pickling came along, this is how cultures preserved food.
Yeah.
They say over 1/3 of the foods eaten in this entire world are actually go through some fermentation process.
Interesting.
So anything from like the obvious coffee and beer, but chocolate, mustard, hot sauce,
That's all
soy,
fermented.
all these things go through some sort of fermentation.
Interesting. I did not know that. Now,
So my sauerkraut, though, is a little bit different than you're going to see from a normal fermented sauerkraut.
okay.
It's got...
So what's the health benefit of fermentation? You mentioned
probiotics. So probiotics we're finding are really important for our bodies to maintain this thing called your microbiome. And so we're like the small bacterial ecosystem that exists within our bodies, specifically in our guts. It helps with digestion and immunity. It helps us even with things like memory, brain fog. Those kinds of things can be related to an imbalance of your microbiome.
Amazing.
Food cravings, things like that. So we're finding out ways to manage our weight and total body wellness by harnessing a symbiotic relationship with these microbes that already live inside of all of us.
Amazing. And how do you think people discovered like how long to ferment things? Because we know if something's over fermented, it can turn sour.
It can.
Right? You think it was just like trial and error, like back before we had computers and scientists and microscopes? I'm guessing it was just trial and error.
It must have been. Must have been one lazy caveman one day forgot to put away the grains that they were pulverizing, and maybe it rained in those grains and got wet, and he just left it to the side until one day he started to see bubbles, and then I don't know, something must have clicked, and he threw it on the fire, and now he's got sourdough bread.
Right.
Or that first guy who had some cabbage and he put some salt in it to hopefully make it last a little longer through the winter months, and lo and behold, after a few months too long of that, it got this like nice little sourness. And they found out that when they started feeding that to their elders lived longer because they enjoyed foods like sauerkraut or yogurt. Yeah. And it wasn't until recently that we started discovering these healthy bacteria that live in those foods that help prolong our life, have a better total body wellness.
Uh-huh. So you were telling me about this, these... What are these?
So this 2 jars. So the first one, we've got the golden kraut. Golden kraut is my riff on sauerkraut. So typically sauerkraut's going to be that classic shredded cabbage and salt. It's going to be a nice kind of light, greeny, beigey color.
Right.
Classic with a sausage. I eat a lot of foods always. I want variety in my foods though. So this one I got a little bit of garlic, ginger, and turmeric, apples, and carrots with the cabbage. So it just changes the vibe.
Yeah.
I've definitely had some traditionalists say that's not sauerkraut. That's something else.
Right.
And that is what it is. It's something else. Yeah. And so golden kraut, really high in probiotics, good food medicine. You look at those probiotic capsules that people get from the grocery store. Mm-hmm. They say there's the equivalent of an entire bottle of those probiotics in 2 tablespoons of sauerkraut.
Wow.
So good food medicine.
Amazing. Could we try some of this with a cracker?
Totally. Yeah, cracker is a good way to go about it. It's nice with like cured meats, or put it with roasted vegetables. But yeah, just a cracker is a good way to get that kraut in you for sure.
All right. I'm going to grab a cracker.
Sounds good. Nice and thin. Mm-hmm. But then you got to massage it. As you massage it, you want to put some good intentions in there. I'm all about the energy around our food. Mm-hmm. I'm having good thoughts about how much I love this cabbage and how much it's going to nourish you. I've got some good funk music playing, so I got a little wiggle in my step. I want to infuse that good energy, that good vibe into my food, because you can really taste that. That good vibe is important.
I love funk also. Are you talking like old school, like 70s?
Yeah, old school funk for sure.
Amazing. That's awesome.
You feel it, right? We've got this, what's that, Frequency Winery, incubating their wines with music. I think we're understanding that those vibrations, sound vibrations, energetic vibrations, it's important in our food. And so, I mean, not to go too hippie on the love vibe, but that's really where it's coming from. I mean, my grandma was a true hippie, lived in a little camperized school bus, as did my family growing up.
Right.
And that little bit of peace, love, and harmony definitely makes its way into my food.
What part of the province was that?
That was Nelson, right in the Kootenay Valley. Yeah, Grandma was right on the pulse, 1970, building the what was it called? The Jam Shack? The Jammery.
Right.
Everybody would come together and jam. Not make jam, but jam.
Yeah, music.
Yeah, making cool things.
So cool. I think that's the story of Frequency as well. It was the owner and his friends would jam in front of these barrels, and they noticed it tasted different. And they kind of looked into it. There's actually some science behind it.
Yeah.
At least with wine. I haven't heard of food. I mean, I know... obviously cooking with love and everything, it's going to set an atmosphere for the table and for the people. But I'm sure there is science as well that if you're fermenting something, you're creating something, if you're putting good music into it and good vibes into it, it's going to make a difference.
Exactly, yeah. Microbes respond to vibration. I mean, as do humans. You put some good music on, the youngest of children just can't help with that little wiggle in their step. It's just a natural expression.
And microbes are actually alive.
They are, yeah. So as we're talking about fermented foods, really full of probiotic microbes. And so these probiotics, good bacteria, we're farming them. As a fermenter, I'm a bacteria farmer. And so I'm farming those good microbes so they can grow up and nourish your own microbial community that's kind of living in your guts.
Right. Do you remember what tracks you were playing when you made these jars?
Oh, no, but I'm sure maybe I've got this really good funk playlist. I can't even remember who's on top of that list, but you're going to see some Motown, you're going to see some funk. And it really infuses into the dish. I was thinking actually about labeling each jar of sauerkraut with what the playlist was that day.
Why not?
This
That'd be awesome.
This is what I was vibing on that day, right?
Very cool.
Yeah.
So if we had you over for dinner, we could pick a playlist.
Definitely.
Also.
Yeah, you got to have a good playlist going when you're making good food, for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. So this next jar,
this next jar. So this is the peach salsa. Peach salsa made of some of the best peaches in the valley coming out of the Wendell Orchards in Carr's Landing. We're so blessed with such good food in this valley, and I'm pretty picky about my ingredients. So I fell in love with these peaches the first time I tried them. They're like as big as a baby's head. You sink your teeth in and they drip to your elbows. I say I like to eat peaches like a herbivore dinosaur. You just kind of tear right into it. It's a slurpy mess, but that's just a beautiful.
So you got to have a surface that you can clean. Like you don't want to do it on your carpet.
No. Good food should be a little bit messy.
Right.
That's when you know it's a good one. A good sandwich is the kind that drips to your elbows.
Yeah, true. And what's the orange and red that I'm seeing?
Okay, so we got a little speckle. We got those good peaches. Then we got some chilies. So you're going to see some habanero chilies, red jalapeno, some sugar snacks. More chilies is more flavor. You don't want to build too much fire, but a good little heat balances that sweetness. It's all about balance and flavor with good food.
Beautiful. And what do you serve these jars of peaches with? Like what's good to eat it with?
Oh, this is like going to be the jam on tacos, obviously, right?
Right.
I do a lot of taco parties these days. They just seem to find me. Tacos is like one of my soul foods.
Really?
I could just create tacos with literally whatever's in your fridge. I will make you some sexy tacos with that.
Amazing.
Because the sky's the limit. And people just keep finding me. I've been doing more taco parties in these last 6 months than anything else combined.
Amazing. What kind of meat do you like to put into tacos?
Okay, so when we're doing the tacos, again, I want to have those good ethical meats. So I'm going direct to source, got that good Sterling Springs chicken. I want to put some of my garlic chipotle love on there. This is one of my signature sauces. So you take this garlic, you roast it low and slow, 30 minutes in olive oil, and just infuses it with that like really rich garlicky vibe. Get some spicy chipotles in there and a good squeeze of acidic lime juice. It makes that chicken pop. And it's going to really balance with the sweetness of the salsa.
Oh, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, right?
And when you say ethically treated meats or ethically raised meats, that's similar to what you were talking about the good vibes in the probiotics, right?
That's it, yeah.
Like, I mean, we're all about being compassionate to the environment and the animals, but there are health benefits to ethically raised meat as well.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, you look at the way that an animal is raised affects its diet, affects the level of vitamins in its body or the level of toxicity in its body. So animals raised in a feedlot are probably going to have much different feed that's being fed to them full of antibiotics or different chemicals to make them grow bigger and faster and keep them healthy in that environment. But animals that are raised in pasture, the way that they were intended to live, get to roam free on grasses, have higher omega-3s. Grass-fed beef is way higher in iron, lower in those unhealthy fats, and higher in the good healthy fats.
Yeah. And a lot of it, I think, is the lifestyle. Like, they're going to have stress hormones.
Exactly.
And, like, biological problems if they're not treated correctly.
That's it, yeah. Chickens living in a cage, laying eggs, they get the size of an iPad to hang out. But chickens roaming pasture get to scratch in the grass and eat bugs. They have a happier diet. They're going to make for happier eggs, and it just tastes better. Better to get those good farm fresh eggs. Better to get that pasture raised chicken.
Right. So tell us a little bit about how you set up dinner parties. So do you have like a menu, or do you just kind of interview the person, say, what do you like to eat, and then build from there?
Yeah, it's hard because people do say, what can you do for us for a dinner party? Just give us a sample menu. I don't do sample menus.
Okay.
I want to know exactly what you like to eat. What's your dietary restrictions? Are you vegan? Are you paleo? Do you eat meats or mostly plants? Do you really not like Brussels sprouts, or do you have to have carrots? And I'll tailor a menu that works specifically for you. Rarely do I play the same song twice. Rarely am I doing the same dish the same way each time. I don't really follow recipes, so I'm making something that fits the season, what inspired me from the farmer's market, what's ready right now, what's getting me excited, what do I want to share with you, and that's what ends up on the menu. Yeah. So I'm not even finalizing my menu sometimes until the week before the event.
Right.
So contact me, you tell me what you like to eat, and then we'll make some magic that's going to suit your party perfectly.
Now, do you get the groceries? Or do you send us?
No, I got the whole kit and caboodle. I'm pretty particular about my groceries. I don't just want any carrots. I want specifically the Mokum carrots from Wise Earth Farm because their soil is just right. That their carrots are coming out super sweet and super juicy.
Right.
And I'll gladly go out of my way to stop at 8, 9, 10 grocery stores to find specifically the thing that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm good to riff with whatever's available as well. So
yeah. So like you said, you can make a taco out of what's in the fridge.
Yeah.
But your preference when doing a meal for people is to carefully select the ingredients. You know the best sources. You know what's going to go great with what.
Yeah. I mean, my food is it's my art. And so each ingredient is a brushstroke. And as much as this is my business and I want to create what you love to eat, this is also, I create food because it fulfills me.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, I will drive however far it takes to get exactly what I want to see on that plate.
Right.
And that vision may change as the meal progresses. You may get inspired by one ingredient, and by the time the menu creation is finished, that dish isn't even on the menu anymore.
Right.
But it's all about that artistic process. I probably put a good 8 hours.
Wow.
8 to 10 hours into just designing a menu.
Wow.
A lot of sleepless nights, scouring for inspiration, living at the farmer's market. Eat, sleep, and breathe that local food, and that's what gets me excited to make your menu.
Yeah. And then how does it work? Do you just come and everybody sits on their iPads and you say dinner's ready? Yeah. Or do you want to involve the people a little bit?
Yeah, I want you to come in the kitchen. I want you to see what's going on. If you want to get your hands dirty, I've always got something you could help me prepare. But it's that story behind the food. That's what really sets us apart. So I want you to know why those peaches were special. What was it about your entree that's different? Why does this taste different than any other cauliflower I've ever had? Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you about the farm that came from and why that's special.
That's amazing.
Yeah, with wine, they have something called terroir. Terroir, that taste of a place. Yeah. And so that Pinot Noir grown in France is going to taste different than Pinot Noir grown in the Okanagan Valley. Mm-hmm. But even on a micro level, as a chef, I see the difference of terroir between the carrots grown on one end of the valley and carrots grown at the other end, because it's relative to the soil and the climate and the love that farmer puts into their food. Right. How they grow their crop is going to change the way that it tastes. And I'm very specific in what I want in my dishes, right?
Right. Now, are you concerned if we watch you, we're going to be able to cook these meals ourselves?
Oh yeah, that's what I want to empower. I want you to come and get cozy in the kitchen with me, so I can show you those tips and tricks. I want to show you how you've always wondered how to get the core out of a mango, or my hands are always smelling like garlic. Well, you wash them with a stainless steel spoon, and the garlic smell goes away. Those little tips and tricks is those things that I picked up from my grandma and other chefs I've worked with.
Amazing.
I share that.
So you really want to empower people to be able to use their kitchen to its maximum potential. It's not like I don't know, Colonel Sanders' secret recipe, you cannot know what I'm doing in here.
Oh, there's no secrets. I want to give it all the way.
Right.
By all means, you like a dish, you want to know what went into that, I will tell you to the best of my memory. It's going to change every time. I don't really write recipes and follow recipes, but I have written them down. I've written a few mini cookbooks at this point. One about raw desserts, one about salads. Done a series of recipes for one big table. But you're always going to see something a little bit different. But you can ask those questions and I can tell you how best to pair flavors, how best to treat your roasted vegetables, how to get the most out of your seasonal fruits, how to preserve, all those tips and tricks. And if I don't know it, that gives me an opportunity to go research it backwards and forwards so I can understand that as well.
That's awesome. Last year with our teenage girls, we did yard cleanup and I hired a professional landscaper. But I told the girls and the landscaper, I said, you're going to teach them and you're going to put them to work and show them how you do it. Right?
Yeah.
And the girls were like, why? I said, because it's going to be way easier for you next year if you know what you're doing. And we're going to pay these people. They're going to help you. But this is really your task. And landscaper was like, sure. So they kind of taught them, the most effective way to pull leaves out of the bushes and, prune and things like that. So I'm all about education.
That's it, right? And I'm fully on board with that same way. When I do food, I don't want to just give you the fish. Right. You give a person a fish, they eat for a day, but you teach a person a fish, they eat for a lifetime. So I want to empower you to know how to do my job. I've always said since day one that if I put myself out of business because everybody I cook for now knows how to cook for themselves, that's a success.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Well, for sure.
When everybody eats well, we all win.
Yeah, and it's true. And there are so many humans that you can teach.
That's right.
And I think if you actually were successful in teaching everybody in the city of Kelowna how to cook as well as you can cook, you probably wouldn't have to cook again if you didn't want to. Like, everybody would be offering you dinner and lunch and please come over. How can we repay you? You know,
well, that's
like,
if our whole Foodie Valley was that intimately connected with food, think of how far we could push it.
Yeah.
Think of the ways that we could really help redefine what it means to farm ethically, what it means to farm organically or naturally, why we need to invest in our food. Why does organic cost more? And if we all start to ask those bigger questions, we all start to get connected to our food, then that becomes a great dialogue. Food is our future, and we still are kind of just on the border of really investing in that. It's very important. Without it, we would all starve.
Yeah, that's true. Well, to me, it's very exciting because Kelowna, Okanagan is becoming known for wine and cider. And it's just such a beautiful place. And people come from all over the world to experience our wines. And I think it could be the same when it comes to food.
I think
people
so too.
like yourself and other chefs. And you mentioned a couple of names of ethically raised meat. Could you tell us those again?
Yeah, so Sterling Springs Chicken is my favorite chicken supplier in the valley. They're just out of Falkland, really small scale flock. And so when I went and visited the farm, it's impeccably clean. Like, I could have eaten my dinner off the floor of the barn. It was literally that clean. I was like, are you serious? Like, no, actually, we just processed a bunch of chickens this morning. This is how clean it always is.
Yeah.
So just like 800 birds to a small flock in the barn, and they have a lot of room to roam around, a lot of room to roll in the dirts and eat their bugs and eat the good feed, and it just makes for happier animals.
Awesome.
They're partnered with this amazing farmer, Vernon, Wild Moon Farms. Great Berkshire pork, probably the best pork I've ever eaten. And because it's raised well, the fats that come up from this pork have good healthy fats. So I can always save that bacon fat to cook with. But it just changes the flavor of the meat in the way that those animals were raised.
Where can we buy those?
You can buy that direct from them at the farmer's market. All my favorite suppliers will be at the farmer's market. And some of the smaller grocery stores in town, One Big Table on St. Paul Street, they carry both Wild Moon and Sterling Springs, other ethically raised meats from other places around the province as well.
Yeah. So farmer's market is great, but in the wintertime, One Big Table and places like that.
Definitely. Yeah. One Big Table, you're going to find good food there 6 days a week. 7 days a week now. They just opened to coincide with the farmer's market that's downtown. Nice. There's a downtown farmer's market on Sunday now too. So they're popping up everywhere.
So great. So great. And what is a plant-based cheesecake?
Oh, okay. Plant-based cheesecake. So most cheesecake, again, you're going to have like probably, you're going to have your eggs, you're going to have your cheese, your cream cheese, maybe even some sour cream. I make some pretty wicked cheesecakes, but the plant-based cheesecakes are going to be substituting all of that rich animal product for the richness from plants. So you get your coconut milk, coconut oil, cashews, a little bit of agave. You need some lemon in there for that tartness, that signature zip for the cheesecake. But when you blend all this up, it becomes so incredibly smooth. And then as it kind of partially freezes, it sets into this buttery masterpiece that is just satisfying.
So you chill it to make it congeal.
So as you chill it, it chills that coconut oil back to that nice solid consistency. And it's just this beautiful buttery magic on your tongue with no animal products. It's all plants, so it's guilt-free. You enjoy that for breakfast.
Right. And so it should be served chilled.
Yes,
to maintain
chilled is ideal. You want to leave it in your freezer until it's ready to eat, and then pull it maybe to your fridge for a couple of minutes, just so it's not too stiff.
Yeah.
Get your fork in there.
And you could serve it with the crust if you want.
Most definitely can. Yeah, I'll do my crusts out of like nuts and dates. So again, sweet naturally, but those toasted walnuts, they just have this like taste of almost like a graham cracker base to them. When you toast them up, a little bit of salt in the dates. And it all comes together well. But hey, you can put that on a stick with no crusts, and it's like this really sexy fudgesicle.
It won't like just drip off. It's like
it's solid. Yeah, it's a great consistency.
Wow. So if we had you over for dinner, we could have like a salad or vegetables, something, and then some meat on the grill, and we could have this cheesecake, which sounds absolutely amazing.
For sure. If that's what the seasons call for in the moment, if that's what you're vibing on.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all because it's always changing, right?
Everybody loves dessert in this house. And if it was a little bit healthier, that would be a good thing.
Yeah, there's a few different ways you can do healthy desserts, right? I've got a lot of raw desserts up my sleeve. I was cooking paleo for a couple of years, and so desserts based on lots of nuts and dates, avocado chocolate mousse, or you've got the raw cheesecakes, the vegan brownies, all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So, how does someone hire you? You said you don't have a preset menu, so you're going to get a phone call from someone and then just go through what do you like to eat?
That's really what it comes down to. I mean, some people just know they have a party coming up and they want something special.
Yeah.
And so to be able to give me that carte blanche you trust me, you've seen what I put out before, you've heard from somebody that, Scott's meals are pretty good, pretty magical, then you just trust that I'm going to come in and make some good food. Yeah. But I always want to tailor that to what you love. But just send me an email. ediblewellness@outlook.com. Find me on Instagram. I'll post most of my stuff there. And we can just talk about what you want to eat. I'll make a menu that fits you perfectly. And,
nice.
It's going to impress.
And what time do you have to come? Let's say we wanted to eat dinner at 6. What time would you have to come here?
I'm probably going to come here 2 hours early. I'm going to come make sure that there's good magic set up in the kitchen. I don't want to prep everything off site. I want to leave a little bit of magic here so you can help me out with some of those finishing touches.
Yeah.
I'm going to whirlwind this gorgeous coursed meal for you, clean up that kitchen cleaner than it was before I showed up, and then be out of your hair for you to just sink into your chair and enjoy a glass of Okanagan wine under the stars.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I guess we'd have the playlist too.
You got to have that good playlist. Yeah. Good food needs good music.
Can you share your funk playlist with me?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. See if I can pop something over to you for sure.
Yeah. Just share it. Cause I love old school funk and it's kind of hard to find. And I procrastinate and I get distracted, but I would love to have a great classic funk playlist. Cause it's one of my favorite genres of music, grew up with it quite a bit, but you don't really hear it on the radio or anything like that.
You can find a lot of good web-based playlists now, though, and you get those super deep cuts that you never would have thought to find, but somebody else put that magic out there. You get those same communities now with people doing food across the world with inspiring ingredients that you never would have thought to put these two disparate ingredients together, and it inspires.
Yeah. Have you thought of doing a YouTube channel?
I thought about it for sure, yeah.
Because, you're amazing at what you do. You're very fluent. And, I think a lot of people will get a kick out of that, just seeing how you do what you do. And you said you like to empower people. You want to share all the tips and tricks and knowledge. And I think that'd be pretty cool. And anything that helps promote the Okanagan, I'm totally for it because I think it's just an amazing place.
Yeah, it really is. On one hand, I just want to tell everybody about it because it's so great. And on the other hand, it's this is our little secret here.
Yeah, that's true. Right? We don't want to get overrun. We don't want to turn it into Hong Kong with, 6 million people, obviously. But
6 million foodies, we got a lot of food to share. So
right. But if, our wineries and cideries and, people like you that are making these amazing jars of things could sell, someone from Seattle calls you and says, give me 20 cases of that. It was amazing. That might be okay.
It's always good to share the food, but you want to make sure you preserve that artisan integrity. It's the small batches that taste the best. That's what we call craft in this business. You've seen craft beer. You talk about craft cannabis now, and you've got craft food. And craft food, it's just... it's the story that goes behind it. It's that slow process. You're not going to speed things up to compromise the integrity of what you do.
Right. Even
as you scale your business, it's important to still think big, but still be small.
Hands-on. Artisan.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Get that love into your food. Yeah, for sure.
Very exciting. Tell us about your workshops.
So, as much as I love to do one-on-ones, I'll come into your home. We can do a cooking lesson, and I can teach you how to fish. So you can have all that good stuff on your shelves. The things that I provide, I'd love to be able to teach you how to make the peach salsa, how to make your own sauerkraut. So you can craft that for your family, infused with your own playlist. But I also love to do larger workshops where we all kind of come in together. I can demo some food. I can show you how simple it is to make your own sauces from scratch. And that way I can empower more people at once. than 1 or 2 people in your home. It's nice to be able to empower 10 or 20 in a good workshop setting. So you can see those things pop up on my Instagram.
Totally.
And come and join the party that way.
Wonderful. And that's why I was thinking maybe in the future, a YouTube channel would be pretty cool because
for sure.
You can really spread that love and wisdom.
Yeah, there's lots of opportunity for collaboration. I love to work with other people who are passionate. Mm-hmm. So whether it's other chefs who want to create or people who just want to kind of spruce up what they've got going on in their own food program. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's a restaurant, a coffee shop, a cidery. I just did this cool little collaboration with Upside Cider just outside the airport, coming out of Kelowna, poised to be the biggest Okanagan, the biggest organic farm stand, as well as the first organic cidery in British Columbia. Wow. Absolutely great product. And so I just helped them these last couple of weeks setting up some pickles and doing lots of really unique pickles. We did some celery root pickles with lemon and anise. We did these smoked peppercorn carrots, pickling zucchini and asparagus and beets, pickled apples with beets. They were like beautiful, just like dark purple, tart, sweet apples. Really nice.
And then you sell those now.
Yeah, and so you can go up to the cidery, get a little tasting flight, and then grab a beautiful charcuterie board with good local cheeses. BC cheese. Like, we are blessed with what we have here. The cheese and the meats and the produce. It's like nothing else in the world, and it's all right here.
Yeah, it's so great.
And so to be able to go to one place where you can get it all on our charcuterie board. I mean, that's one of my favorites. Do the big parties these days, weddings, rather than having that stodgy carving station and your 3 different starches and overcooked vegetables. I like to change it up. So I've been doing a lot of big charcuterie grazing boards, and I use that term charcuterie loosely. Charcuterie is typically a good, ethically, traditionally cured dried meats. You put prosciuttos in your salamis.
Cheese, crackers.
But you got to have the cheese and the crackers and the pickles and the accoutrement, all that other stuff. And so I set up this big, glorious board, like an 8-foot table that's just packed out with all these things to pick from. Yeah. You can just kind of graze and nibble whatever you love to eat.
And that was just, was that a special occasion, or they wanted to just set this up so people come in?
Yeah, parties, business parties or weddings. You want to do something, somebody's graduating, it's somebody's birthday. People love to gather over good food, and when you're having a party, you got a lot to take care of on your end anyway. So give me a call, leave the food up to me. I'll show up and I'll bring some magic. Your guests won't forget it, I promise.
That's awesome. Yeah. Tell us your Instagram account.
So Instagram account is edible.wellness. So you'll find me on Insta. I like to put some pictures up on there and tell the story. But really where I love to connect is in person. I like to see people's faces and talk about food that way. Yeah. I'm a bit of a Luddite when it comes to technology. I resisted social media for a long time. Yeah. The website still needs probably some freshening for sure. But I just want to I want to connect with you in your home. I want to bring the food to you.
I think that's great. Honestly, I kind of tired of social media, and I think it's useful if you can stay focused on your human life and use it as a tool to get people to come and see you in person.
Definitely, yeah.
But if they're not coming to see you in person, if they're just like scrolling their newsfeed forever and ever, it's worse than useless, I think.
Well, that's it.
It actually leads to depression in teenagers and social isolation. Ironically, even though it's called social media, it's
there you go, right?
Kids are feeling very isolated. Yeah. Because it's not used properly. It should be a tool to say, hey, I'm doing this great thing over here. Come and see me. And then you go instead of just endlessly scrolling.
Yeah.
For nothing.
Another cool podcaster, I was talking about the same thing, talking about food porn with the Just Shut Up and Listen podcast. And so at the Just Shut Up and Listen, we were talking about food porn, and people scroll their phones and see all this gorgeous food they'd never create for themselves. But they do it as they're eating their fast food burger, or they're eating this bowl of processed whatever it may be. If you can use those beautiful pictures online to inspire your food, to be able to get you to get back into the kitchen, I saw that dish that looked really beautiful, I want to try to recreate that. That's really important. But if all that's doing is just, it's like an escape, a release, you just watch somebody else create good food and so you don't have to take it home and do it yourself. I mean, it's not doing anyone any good.
That's right.
Yeah, social media should be more than entertainment. It should really connect us more.
Yeah.
Inspire better things to eat.
Totally agree, Scott. Who would you like to nominate to come on the show? So it's anybody that you would love to hear from.
You should totally talk to Jay at the Zero Waste Grocery Store. Farmbound is her business, and she is all over the valley, connecting local organic food suppliers through her food delivery service. She's on board with Cidery and Sunreal Organics farm stand. Lots of cool things happening. So definitely talk to Jay. She will tell you some good things.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much for the treats. It's so delicious, sure. Amazing. And thank you for the knowledge.
Hey,
and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Newtown Big Dreams podcast with your host, Luke Menkes, and his authentic guests. And we love our listeners and hope you subscribe now to learn more about the amazing journeys of our incredible guests who relocated to find a new town, big dreams. And remember, make your dreams big.